and welcome to the Cozy Christmas Book Tag. It's like 10 p.m. and I'm very tired, but I need to post this on Christmas Eve, so I'm filming tonight and my cat is scratching things. Thank you, Spleen! Always, it's not a video without a cameo from my little problem child who suddenly wakes up from her nap. I was tagged by Ashley Bundy, so I will link her video down below, and the original was created by Call Me After Coffee, who will also be linked in the description. I'm gonna get into this nice short little video for Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and if not, I hope you're having fun in this winter storm. Lovely. Okay, so question 1, Twinkling Lights. What is the most beautiful book that you own? I don't know, like, if this is the most beautiful, but this was the one that stood out to me on my shelves. I have this complete Sherlock Holmes edition. It's not like the prettiest thing. Like, it's kind of a weird yellow color. But it comes in a box. Like, it comes in a nice box. And, like, the book is gorgeous. And the font is minuscule, and it's just like, I don't know, I got this from a thrift store and it was just like so lovely and in like pristine condition, and I paid like basically nothing for it because I got it with a box of other books that I paid $6 for the whole thing, and like I'd have paid $6 for this. It's just like exactly what I was looking for because I wanted like a complete Sherlock Holmes. So it ticked all the boxes, and it's just like, it makes me happy. So like in terms of like pretty aesthetic, maybe not, but like in terms of I like this. Question 2, the perfect treat. Will you pay more to get the prettiest edition of a book? It depends. On how much more, because I will pay more to get a prettier book. Like, I'm not gonna pay like $50 more to get a prettier book, but if I'm looking at 2 editions and one is kind of and one is really nice looking, if the one that's really nice looking is like $3 more, then yeah, I'm gonna go with that. But in general, I don't really care. I'd rather go for the cheap book. I'm not gonna like, most of the time I wouldn't go out and buy a specific edition of a new book just because like to have the prettier one. I'll just take the one that I find in the thrift store unless it's like actively falling apart and unreadable. Like, I do like pretty things, but like it's just not the biggest priority for me. So if it's more than like a couple dollars, then probably not. Question 3, build a snowman. Make a Christmas book stack, color or theme. So I was gonna do like a nice red and green stack, like, you know, Christmas colors, and I was like, I can't find any books easily that fit that, so I went with red and white. A very small stack, but a nice little red and white book stack of various books, none of which I've read. No, I read Killed. But the others I have not read, but it looks nice. Question 4, crackling fire. What book makes you feel warm and cozy? I swear I've talked about this recently, but I'm tired and couldn't think of anything else. So I went with Ribbons by Laurence Yep, which is a lovely middle grade book about I think she's a 12-year-old girl who does ballet, really likes ballet, just like, it's kind of like her life, but not in like an uber professional way, just like, she's a kid who really loves ballet. And then her parents, she's biracial, her mother's Chinese and her father is white, and they bring her maternal grandmother over from Hong Kong, which is very expensive, so her parents can't afford ballet lessons anymore. And it's about her kind of like, money becomes tight and like things change in her family, and her grandmother's arrival changes a lot of things, like, and there are a lot of cultural differences, and she doesn't really get along with her grandmother very well, so there's a lot of conflict there, and it's just a really lovely story. Like, it makes me so happy every time I read this, which is a lot, and also I sob like an infant. It's a gorgeous book. If you're interested in a middle grade book like this, I need to read more Laurence Yep because I love this so much, and I've been rereading this since I was a child, but this is one of my favorite books from my childhood. Question 5, knee-high socks. What's the longest book that you've read? And this year, the longest book that I've read is Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela, which is like 650 some pages or something. I don't know. According to my Goodreads, that is the longest book that I read this year. And it is, I listened to the audiobook and it took me most of a month because it was due back at the library. But really good, really interesting book if you want to know more about Nelson Mandela, because it filled in a lot of ignorance that I had, and I would like to read more about South Africa politics now. But fantastic book, definitely worthwhile. Question 6, ugly sweaters. What's the ugliest book that you own? I don't know. I'm so bad at like aesthetic things, and like I don't look at book covers generally and think, wow, that's ugly. I just like don't care. So beyond like books that are falling apart, I'm going to steal an answer from Keep Calm with Books and Coffee when I think she did this tag. It was either this tag or another tag that had the same question. But she said Melting Stones by Tamora Pierce. This cover is just so dreary and plain, and like all the colors kind of swim together on it, and it just doesn't fit the book, and it really doesn't fit the character. Like, she's really outgoing, she's really outspoken, she's really like lively, and it's just like I get none of that from this cover. She just kind of seems like peaceful and like within herself, and she's not in the books. Like this, I don't know, this is one of those covers that like I don't know that I would call it like the ugliest that I own necessarily, but it is just like it does nothing for the book. Like it contributes nothing, and it doesn't like really sell the book at all, in my opinion. I actually have another cover for that book because I have the audiobook, because that book originally came out via audiobook, which I got that, and I don't really like audiobooks that way, so I then got the physical, which I don't think I've ever read actually, which might be why that's one of my least favorite Tamora Pierce books. I should read that, but it has a different cover, and it's just like, I'm not saying this cover is the most amazing thing in the world, but like it definitely gives you a lot better vibes of the book, and it's at least more colorful, and like you see a little personality in it, and like it tells you something at least. So I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the Melting Stones cover. Question 7, blizzards. A book set in winter or a book that gives you the chills / has dark themes. So Winter Garden by Kristin Hannah. It has winter in the title, it's set during winter, and it has some pretty dark themes, so I feel like I'm 3 for 3 here. This has been my favorite Kristin Hannah book so far. It is so sad. I love the characters. It's part historical fiction, part modern day story. It's about a Russian woman during the war and like her kind of trauma and living during the war and like going through like starvation and losing her family. And then it's also about the future, like years later, her children, who are now like grown adults, and they're like learning about her story for the first time. And it's really lovely. It's really heartbreaking. Like, I am very hit or miss on Kristin Hannah. Like, sometimes I love her books, I love this, and sometimes I just absolutely loathe them and think they're worthless. So I would recommend this one, especially if you've read some Kristin Hannah and not been impressed but want to try more. Would recommend, because I thought this was wonderful, and I plan to read more. Like, this is the book of hers that keeps me going, because if she wrote this, she's got to have written another one that's as good as this. So I highly recommend. It made me cry. Everything makes me cry, but I really like this. And then the final question, home for the holidays. For the rereaders out there, are there any books that feel like going home? I feel like everyone who watches my videos knows exactly what I'm about to say. The President's Daughter by Emerson White. Specifically Long May She Reign. But to be honest, just like any book by Emerson White, like even the ones I haven't read before, when I start reading them, they just kind of feel like going home. Like, it's just, her writing style is such a comfort to me at this point, and it's just like so distinctive to me. Like, I'm pretty sure I could read like a page by like 10 different authors and just immediately know which one she wrote, like regardless of the subject. It's just like, I don't know, her writing feels like home to me, but the series is my favorite. It's about a girl who is the daughter of the first female president of the United States, obviously fictional, and essentially it kind of starts like the first book. Her mother's just like running for president, and she's just like, oh, my mother might be president. That's kind of weird. And that's basically the entirety of the first book. And then there's an assassination attempt on her mother, and then she gets kidnapped by terrorists. And then the fourth book, which is this one, which is just like an epically long, how long is this? More than 700 pages, so this could have been for the longest book I've read, but not this year. This is just her first semester away at college after having been kidnapped by terrorists and surviving. And she's dealing with so much PTSD, so much trauma, so many physical disabilities from, you know, having been through this, and like she now has permanent physical disabilities, and she has like screaming night terrors, and she has like so many things that like she just cannot cope with. And this book is just like her learning to cope and just like dealing with the pain that she's in, like physical and emotional, and it's just like a masterpiece. I love this book so much. Like, I love the whole series. I love everything Emerson White has ever written, but this book is just like absolutely beyond for me. Like, it makes me happy. Like, this book is so beat up. This is the only physical book I took with me when I went to college. Like, I know I talk about her books all the time, and I know I always say the same things, and she makes me so happy, and I love her books, but like, I will not stop until I've just forced, bullied, coerced everyone I know into reading her, because I love her, and she deserves a lot more love. Like, she is quite beloved by people who have read her books. It's just that not enough people have read her books. So, go read her. I'm going to be doing a reread of this series at some point next year, because every time I talk about them, I'm just like, I need to reread them. They make me happy and cry, but happy. So this was the cozy Christmas tag-ish, whatever it's called. It's Christmas Eve, probably, when I'm posting this. I don't actually know. I gotta go do things. I have to wrap all my presents and finish doing all the Christmassy things. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, enjoy Snowmageddon, or whatever we're calling it this year, or just have a good day. I don't know. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.